Viewers at home, you are welcome to the part 2 of my presentation on correction of errors and suspense accounts. Correction of errors and suspense accounts. In this part 2, I will examine those errors that will affect the agreement of the trial balance. Those errors that affect the agreement of trial balance. So, what do we mean by suspense accounts? Suspense accounts. Suspense account can also be called difference in trial balance. Difference in trial balance. Suspense account can also be called difference in trial balance. Suspense account is an account in which those errors that affect the agreement of trial balance are recorded pending the location of the errors. Suspense accounts is an account in which the errors that affect the agreement of trial balance are recorded pending the location of the errors. In other words, suspense account is an account in which the difference in trial balance, an account in which the difference in trial balance are recorded pending the location of the errors. Meaning that the moment the errors are discovered, those errors will be written off from the suspense accounts. So I repeat, only those errors that affect the agreement of the trial balance will be entered in the suspense accounts. I want you to know that suspense account does not provide a permanent records of those errors. Those errors will be recorded in the suspense accounts pending the location of the errors. Meaning that the moment those errors are discovered, they will be written off from the suspense accounts. So, suspense accounts is an account in which those errors that affect the agreement of the trial balance will be recorded pending the location of the errors. I repeat, suspense account is an account in which those errors that affect the agreement of trial balance will be recorded pending the location of the errors. So, what are the errors that will clear the trial balance from agreement? What are those errors that will affect the agreement of the trial balance? Or what are those errors that the trial balance will disclose? So, errors that affect the agreement, errors that affect the agreement of trial balance. Errors that affect the agreement of trial balance. Number 1, partial omission. Partial omission or one-side omission. Partial omission or one-side omission. That is, where only one aspect of double entry is kept. Partial omission or one-side omission. This is different from complete omission we have examined under errors that will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. So, partial omission, it means only one aspect of the double entry is kept. You only record one aspect. Remember the double entry principles, which will find that for every debit entry, there must be a corresponding credit entry and vice versa. So instead of you to debit one account and credit the other, you only record only one aspect of it. That is, you may record the one to be debited, but you now pay to record the one to be credited. And where that occurs, your trial balance will not agree. Or if you record the one at the credit side, you fail to record the one to be debited. Where that is the case, your trial balance will fail to agree. That is partial omission or one-side omission. Only one aspect of the double entry, only one aspect of the account is kept. That is partial omission. To correct partial omission error, pass the correct entry to the account where it has been omitted. Pass the correct entry to the account where it has been omitted. And the second account will now be suspense account. That is the account that is supposed to be debited. And if that account was not debited, where the debit entry has been omitted in error, that means you are going to debit that account where the transaction ought to have been debited. And the credit entry will now be suspense account. Or where the transaction that have been omitted supposed to receive a credit entry. That means you are going to credit the account that is supposed to have been credited where that transaction has been omitted. Then the debit entry will now be suspense account. That is how partial omission error can be corrected. Number 2, partial reversal of entry. This is different. This is just partial reversal of entry. Remember when we were examining those errors that will not affect the agreement of trial balance, we examine the complete reversal of entry. But in this case, we have the partial. So, meaning that, remember when we were examining the complete reversal of entry, we said where the account to be debited is credited and the one to be credited is debited. Well, that is the case. That is complete reversal. But this one, the account to be debited is credited. Only one of the two accounts is affected, not both. The other one is correctly recorded. Only one of the two accounts is affected. The other account is correctly recorded. Where that is the case, the error is said to be the partial reversal of entry. It occurs when the double entry for a transaction is posted on the wrong side of one account. Where double entry for a transaction is posted on the wrong side of one account and the entry in the other account is correct. The double entry is posted on the wrong side of one of the accounts and the entry in the other is correct. Example, so rent paid by check. Rent paid by check $172. $172. Rent paid by check $172 was debited to rent account and cash account also debited. So, remember when you pay for rent by check and bank account also debited. So, you are given out check. That to show that bank is the giver and rent is the receiver. You are supposed to debit the rent account in line with the double entry principle, which has been done correctly. We were told it was debited to rent account. Rent account has been debited correctly. But you are supposed to credit the bank account. But instead of you to debit your instead of you to credit your bank account, you now credit and you now debit your bank account. Instead of you to credit bank account was debited. Since it was recorded correctly in the rent account, That means the only account that is affected is the bank account. So where that is the case, this error is said to be a partial reversal of entry. And how can that error be corrected? Well, to correct the partial reversal of entry, you double the amount involved. That is, you multiply it by 2 and put it at the correct side of accounts. I repeat, to correct the partial error of partial reversal of entry, number 1, you double the amount involved. That is, you multiply the amount involved by 2, then you now put that amount at the correct side of the account. So, meaning that the bank account that was wrongly debited now, to correct it now, you are going to credit the bank account, but you double it. Since the amount is 172. So, we credit bank account. We have rent. 172 times 2. We have 172. 172 times 2. Then we have 344. $344. So that is how that error can be corrected. So number 3, casting error. Casting errors. Casting is an accounting term which means to add up a column. It means to add up a column. And this error might take 2 forms. Can have undercasting and overcasting. The undercasting can affect the item of receipts and items of payment. So you may have undercast receipts. Then you may also have undercast payment. Overcasting can equally affect the item of receipts and payment. You may have overcast receipt and overcast payment. So, I've told you that casting means to add up a column. And I've told you that the casting may take 2 forms, undercasting and overcasting. And I've told you that undercasting can affect the item of receipt. Then you have the undercast receipt. And where it affects the items of payment, you have undercast payment. Then overcasting may equally affect the item of receipt. It may also affect the items of payment, where you have overcast receipts and overcast payment. So, receipt side of an account of cash book, the receipt side of the cash book is the debit side. The debit side of the cash book is the receipt side of the cash book. And where the receipt side has been undercast, to correct that error, that means you are going to put it at the debit side of the cash book. Undercast receipt should be at the debit side of the cash book, because the amount at the debit side has been understated. You want to upgrade that amount to the correct amount. So that is why you debit it in order to correct that. And where it is an items of payment, I've told you that the payment side of the cash book is the credit side of the cash book. Where the credit side, the payment side has been undercast. So to correct that error, you put it at the credit side. So I've told you that undercast receipt, you debit it to the cash book. While undercast payment, you credit it to the cash book. Then overcast receipt. Overcast receipt, that means the receipt side, which is the debit side of the cash book, has been overstated. To correct it now, that is, you want to reduce the amount at the debit side of the cash book. To reduce that, to correct that error, you credit your cash book. Overcast receipt should be credited. Then overcast payment. Payment side of the cash book is the credit side of the cash book. If the payment side is the credit side, and that side has been overstated, to correct it now, you debit your cash book. So that is for casting errors. Number 3, casting errors. I've told you that casting means to add up a column. I've told you that your casting error might take 2 forms: undercasting and overcasting. I've told you that undercasting might affect the item of receipt, and it may also affect the item of payment. Number 4, transposition error or error of transposition. Error of transposition. Transposition error. So this occurs where the transaction has been recorded in line with the double entry principles. The transactions are kept in line with the principles of double entry. The account to be debited has been debited correctly. The account to be credited has been credited correctly. But the amount used in one of the accounts is wrong. That is, the amount put at the debit side may be correct, while the one amount used in the account to be credited is wrong, may be wrong. That is, one of the amounts, maybe the correct amount is 1,200. 1,200. That is the correct amount. 1,200. So, and one of the accounts supposed to be debited with 1,200, and that has been debited correctly. But the other account, so that's supposed to be credited, you may now use 2,100. And where that occurs, that is errors of transposition. But if it is error of original entry, no, error of original entry will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. If it is error of original entry, the correct amount is 1,200. Meaning that it is going to be 2,100 that will be used here and 2,100. Wrong amount is used in both accounts. That is error of original entry. But errors of transposition, one of the accounts, the amount used in one of the accounts will be correct. But the amount used in the other will be wrong. That is error of transposition. And errors of transposition also plays the same role as the casting errors which I have explained. It also plays the same role as the casting errors. I've told you that the casting errors might affect the item of receipt, and it may affect the items of payment. So also is the error of transposition. You are going to correct the errors of transposition the same way the casting error will be corrected. Errors of transposition will be corrected in the same way the casting errors will be corrected. So you have to identify whether it is an items of receipt that have been undercast or overcast, or where it is the items of payments that have been undercast or overcast. And then you correct it the same way, the same rule I have explained as regards the casting errors. Number 5, under or overstatement. Under or overstatement of opening balance. Let me say opening and closing balances. And closing balances. The opening and the closing balances may be understated or overstated, just the same way as the casting errors. So this will be corrected just the same way the casting errors are to be corrected. In this YouTube channel, you are going to be receiving lectures, tutorials, and comedy videos. Just watch any one of your interest. So if you are just coming across this channel for the first time, or if you have not subscribed in the past, please click the red subscribe button and also turn on your notification bell icon so that you don't miss my upcoming videos. Example, this question is obtained from Uganda Certificate of Education Examination, Uganda National Examination Board, Principles of Accounts. The trial balance of Excel Enterprises failed to agree by 1,022,000 shillings. the credit side being greater than the debit side. The following errors were later discovered. 1. Payment of 490,000 shillings for repairs had been posted to wages account. 2. Discount receipt 175,000 shillings had been debited to the discount received account. 3. A purchase of an equipment had been posted as 280,000 shillings instead of 4,280,000 shillings in both equipment account and cash book. 4. Bank column of the cash book had been undercast by 1,080,000 shillings. 5. Return out to us of 246,000 shillings had been credited to the supplier's account. Number 6. A payment for insurance of 1.5 million shillings had been posted as 2.5 million shillings to the insurance account. Required. Prepare the following to correct the errors. Number 1, journal proper. Number 2, suspense account. Note, do not give narrations. Do not give narrations. Now let's have the solution to the question. Solution. So the first thing is the name of the entity, the name of the business. The name of the business is Excel Enterprises. Excel Enterprises. We have Excel Enterprises. Then we have journal entries. So we have the debit side and the credit side. Debit side and the credit side. So the amount is in shillings. That is the currency. Then let me have the serial number and the description. Description or particulars. Now let's start with note 1. Note 1. We were told that payment of 490,000 shillings for repairs had been posted to wages account. Now, there was a payment for repairs, and this payment was wrongly posted to wages account. Now, you know the correct account, this ought to have been recorded in repairs account and cash or bank account, since it is a payment. This transaction ought to have been recorded in repairs account and the cash book, but was wrongly recorded in wages account and the cash book instead of repairs account and the cash book. So that means this transaction have been recorded correctly in the cash book, but instead of you to record it in repairs account, it was wrongly recorded in wages account. That means this transaction have been recorded in the wrong class of account. The transaction has been recorded in a wrong class of account, and that is an error of principle. Error of principle. Now, the normal double entry have been passed correctly, but the only error committed is that instead of this transaction to be recorded in the repairs account, it was wrongly recorded in wages account. So that is an error of principle. So now, when you pay, cash goes out. That means cash is the giver. When you pay for repairs. Cash is the giver, while repairs is the receiver. So, repairs account ought to have been debited, and cash account ought to have been credited. But instead of you to debit repairs account, you now debit wages. So what you will do is to record it in the repairs account. You debit the repairs account that is supposed to be debited, which have not been debited earlier. So we debit repairs, we debit the repairs account, but the wages account, which has wrongly been debited, now you now credit it. So we debit repairs account and you credit wages account. You are crediting wages account in order to eliminate the amount that has wrongly been debited to the wages account. So since that amount has been debited, it has been at the debit side of the wages account. So you will therefore credit wages account in order to eliminate the amount that has wrongly been debited to the wages account. So the amount involved. Now, payment of 490,000 shillings for repairs had been posted to wages account. The amount involved is 490,000. So that means you debit the repairs account. Repairs account is supposed to be debited, and it have not been debited. So that is why we are debiting the repairs account. Then you credit wages account that have wrongly been debited. Since wages account have been debited, so you credit wages in order to eliminate the amount at the debit side of wages account. So that is for that. Number 2. The discount received of 175,000 shillings had been debited to the discount received account. The discount received account ought to have been credited. No discount received will be credited in the ledger. That is why your discount received will be at the credit side of the trial balance. But since this has been debited in error, so that this is a partial reversal of entry. So you want to credit the discount received account. So what do we do is this. The discount received was debited with 175,000. If you credit the discount received with 175,000, it will eliminate the amount at the debit side of the discount received account. So you will need to put additional 175,000 at the credit side. So anytime there is a partial reversal of entry, then you should double the amount involved. That is, where an account that is supposed to be debited, where it is credited, or the account that is supposed to be credited, where it is debited. To correct that error, you double the amount involved. So now the discount received account that is supposed to be credited, you will now credit it with the double of the 175,000. Double means to multiply it by 2. So you multiply 175,000 by 2. So if you credit the discount received account with the times 2 of this, then you are going to debit the suspense account. Suspense account. That is 175,000 times 2. 175,000 times 2. That gives us 350,000. Then you now credit the discount received account. You credit the discount received account with the same amount. That is the 350,000. Remember, you are told not to give narration. Number 3. A purchase of an equipment had been posted as $280,000 instead of $4,280,000 in both the equipment account and cash book. When you make a purchase of an equipment, you receive the equipment, then you give out the cash. You receive the equipment, you give out the cash. That is to show that the cash is the giver, while equipment is the receiver. Allowing the double entry principles, you debit the receiver and you credit the giver. Instead of you to debit the equipment account with the sum of 4,280,000, you have debited the equipment account with the wrong amount of 280,000. That means the equipment account and the cash account has been undercast by the sum of 4 million. Because if you have 4,280,000 minus 280,000, the difference will be 4 million. The equipment and cash account has been undercast by the sum of 4 million naira, 4 million shillings. So that means you want to increase the amount in equipment account by 4 million so that the 280,000 shillings that had earlier been recorded will now be upgraded to 4,280,000. So you debit the equipment account with 4 million and you credit the cash account, since this error affects both the equipment account and the cash book. So let's debit the equipment account. So we debit the equipment account. And you credit the cash book. So with 4 million shillings. So that is number 3. Number 4 now. Number 4. Bank column of the cash book have been undercast by 1,880,000. Bank column of the cash book has been undercast by 1,880,000. The cash book balance, the normal balance in the cash book should be a debit balance. Since it has been undercast, that means the debit side of the cash book has been understated by the sum of 1,880,000 shillings. So we debit the cash book with 1,880,000 shillings. Then we credit suspense account with the same amount, 1,880,000 shillings. That is number 4. Then we have 5. Remember, narration is not necessary. Return out to us of 246,000 shillings had been credited to the supplier's account. Return out to us of 246,000 shillings had been credited to the supplier's account. When you return goods to the suppliers, then that means the suppliers will be the receiver. But since suppliers is the receiver, that means the supplier's account ought to have been debited. But instead of you debiting the supplier's account was now credited. And that is a partial reversal of entry. I've told you that we have a partial reversal of entry where the account to be debited is credited and the account to be credited is debited, and vice versa. And I've told you that where that is the case, to correct that error, you double the amount involved. That means the amount involved should be doubled. Now back to the question. Return out to us of 246,000 shillings had been credited to the supplier's account. Remember, supplier's account also have been debited. So, but instead of you to debit the supplier's account, then supplier's account was now credited. So you are going to debit the supplier's account with the double of the amount. So now let's have the supplier's account. Suppliers, that is the creditor's account or payables account. The amount involved is 246,000 shillings times 2. So 246,000 times 2, that will give us 492,000 shillings. 492,000. Then you credit suspense account. I've told you that suspense account, you only have suspense account where the error affects only one ledger. Where it affects only one ledger. So the second one will be suspense account. Number 6. A payment for insurance of 1.5 million shillings had been posted as 2.5 million shillings to the insurance account. No, you pay for insurance. Since it is a payment, that means the entity gives out cash. Cash is the giver and insurance is the receiver. Therefore, we debit the receiver and credit the giver in line with the principles of double entry. So that means the insurance account will be debited. The insurance account ought to have been debited with 1.5 million naira, 1.5 million shillings. And it has wrongly been debited with the sum of 2.5 million shillings. That means the amount debited to insurance account is greater than the amount that is ought to have been debited therein. So in that case, you will need to reduce the amount at the debit side of the insurance account. To reduce that amount, you are going to credit the insurance account with the difference, since the amount recorded at the debit side is in excess of the correct amount. So you credit the insurance account with the difference, which is 1 million, and you debit the suspense account. So we have suspense account, suspense account. That is the difference between 2.5 million shillings and 1.5 million shillings. The difference is 1 million shillings. Then you credit the insurance account. Insurance account with the same amount, which is 1 million shillings. That is the entries required in journal to correct the error. Back to number 2. You have to prepare the suspense account. Now let's have the suspense account. Suspense account. So suspense account, you have the debit side of the suspense account and the credit side. The currency is shillings. Shillings, that is the currency. So now, you were told that the trial balance of Excel Enterprises failed to agree by 1,022,000 shillings. The credit side being greater than the debit side. So the credit side is greater. That means to agree the debit side with the credit side, the difference of 1,022,000 will be inserted at the debit side of the trial balance. So you have the difference in trial balance. Difference in trial balance of 1,022,000 shillings. Now, back to our journal. In the first journal, there is no suspense account. You only have the repairs and wages. No suspense account. The second one, we have suspense account being debited, and that is 350,000. Suspense account, and the title of the other account is discount receipt. So you put discount receipt. Since suspense is debited, you put it at the debit side. So, but you put the title of the other account, discount receipt, and the amount involved is 350,000. The third item, we have the equipment and cash book. No suspense there. The number 4, you have cash book and suspense. The suspense account is credited with 1,080,000 shillings. So that means we are going to credit the suspense account. You are going to credit the suspense account with the amount, that is 1,880,000. So, and the title of the other account is cash book. You can put cash account or bank account, which is 1,880,000. Number 4, we have the suspense account of 1,880,000 shillings credited. Since suspense account is credited, you are going to credit the suspense account with 1,880,000 with then you put cash. So now we have the cash book 1,880,000. Then number 5, we have the suppliers. Then and suspense. Suspense account is credited with 492,000. So you are going to put suspense account at the credit side with the narration to be suppliers. So we have suppliers, which is 492,000. 492,000. Number 6, we have suspense account debited with 1 million. Suspense account debited with the sum of 1 million. So, and the other account is insurance. So at the debit side you put insurance, 1 million. So when you sum it up, so the total of the debit side, 1,022,000 plus 350,000 plus 1 million. Then you have the total of 2,372,000. 2,372,000. And at the credit side, you have 1,880,000 plus 492,000. Then you have 2,372,000. That is the solution to the question. This is the part 2. In part 1, I have examined the correction of errors and suspense account, where those errors which doesn't affect the trial balance or agreement were examined. Part 3 shall cover the adjusted profit, correction of errors and adjusted profit, that is suspense account. So where there will be an adjusted profit or where financial statements will be prepared. In this channel, you will be receiving lectures from time to time as well as comedy. So as another say, all work without play make Jack a dull boy. So that is the reason why you'll be seeing some comedy from time to time in this YouTube channel. Thanks.